Welcome back, crewmates, to CRUECAST episode 3. And this was a difficult topic for me to decide to do, but I had to do it because it had to be said. These school shootings, really any mass shootings, is an issue. This most recent one kind of was the last straw for me. I guess for me holding my tongue, it really doesn't matter. I'm not like, if I say something, something's gonna be done. But I think my voice needs to be heard with this issue. I have a guest here,
Stephanie.
and we're going to give our opinions and thoughts on the most recent in Texas with 19. What's it? The second deadliest school shooting in history. 19 dead. So what's your thoughts, Stephanie?
I think it took them too long to go in. It took 30 minutes to an hour to go in.
And when they did go
evaluate
in,
the scene.
they went in and they rescued their kids and left a classroom full of brown kids. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, regardless of you going in, like, once you go in, you gotta save everybody. Like, in a situation like that, when it says school involved, nobody has a color to me. Like, you go in, you say these babies, like, they elementary school kids. Regardless, I don't even think it even matter that they elementary school kids. When you go in, you take an oath. Like, that's your job. You gotta go in and protect these kids. We call them border patrol. We calling everybody. And you got parents that's standing on the sideline crying and going crazy, and you fail to enter the school.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a huge problem, like very huge problem. Like,
so why do you think? Do you think he was the mayor was being, or governor was being messy with? Why call border patrol when you have all these state and city police and deputies and all that? I mean, I could make my own assumption and assume that it was race-based, that you would call border control. But do you think that's...
I don't think border patrol, in my opinion, was needed. However, I don't know how many people they have on their task force, so I can't really evaluate that situation. Like, I don't know if they needed extra security. Like, it's a small town, so I don't know if they felt as if they needed more help to enter or more help to go in. So
they could have called...
They could have called other local agencies.
City,
I don't know if that's the only agency that arrived.
Mm-hmm.
At that time. Border patrol to me wasn't needed, but if they lent aid, then apparently nobody lent aid.
There was definitely an agenda with that. I don't know why you thought 30 minutes to an hour was a good enough time. Had it been I don't care. Had it been a white neighborhood with people with some money or something, it would have been instant. Like, no, I mean, he did have gear on, protective gear to prevent a clear shot. They would have to aim for anything that wasn't covered. But I'm like, you can't tell me an 18-year-old has access, the no background check, no nothing, to get automatic rifle, multiple automatic rifles, body cam with no red flags. Like, hey, why are you buying all these things at these times? And then not only that, but you attacked your grandmother first. I don't know where his parents was at, and then you just like, hey, no, just let him roam free. They said they saw him the day before staking out the place. I don't know what the reason was for that particular school.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they even found that reason, but for you to stay out of school where you probably knew it was going to be a graduation the next day, target them, attack them. I mean, thank God he's dead, but it's just like, it's, I mean, so many emotions, because it's just like now these little kids, these families are devastated, traumatized. There was a interview I saw of a little boy who was in that classroom but happened to find a hiding spot. One of the teachers that died put him and his friend in this cupboard, and was able to he heard the gunman say it's time to die. He heard the shell casings fall. He saw the shots, the blood, everything. This little boy is traumatized. Him and his friend. I mean, anybody involved that day, that was present that day, is traumatized. But for him to have to deal with that, them, not just him, but them to have to deal with that for the rest of their lives, because you just wanted to. It wasn't like it was an agenda, like, hey, this person did this to me and I'm gonna just get everybody that's involved. Like, you just randomly picked, well, it wasn't random because you staked it out the day before and they saw you. I don't even know he got access to get inside the school. Somebody said the door was propped, so I don't even know. But I mean, there's got to be a lot more background check or something for these 18-year-olds to have access to these. This is not the first 18-year-old that done. The dude in Buffalo, 18 years old, able to get assault rifle. Why? Like, how is it that easy for an 18-year-old? Now I can understand adult, you 21 or older. Boom, makes sense.
I think it has to be further investigated. Like, everybody gonna play a role.
I mean, are they gonna really do a detailed investigation unless it's outside of?
It has to be. Number one, where was your resource officers in the school?
I didn't think about that.
Where were they?
Mm-hmm.
Where were your school
every
police?
school's supposed to have it, right?
I don't know. Like, it's so much. Like, we can sit here and discuss it, but if you haven't dug in deep on it, like, you don't know their policy. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to have like a school resource officer, someone there guarding the schools, since all these
especially with an
been
event
going
like
on.
that. Mm-hmm.
Propping a door open, that's safety and security number one. Somebody need to be fired. Like, you have to be held accountable. Like, this is why certain policies and procedures are put in place for different situations like these. Mm-hmm. Then you say, like, hey, I don't even think it's the fact that you 18, but I mean, that's crazy. Like, my daughter and her father was talking, like, you got to be 21 to buy alcohol, but you could be 18 to buy a gun.
That's crazy.
You can go out here and drink and drive, but you can go out here and
But you could handle an assault rifle
at 18.
At 18.
No background check.
He wasn't even graduated. He hadn't even graduated high school yet.
But then you have people saying, "Hey, I want to be able to protect my home." How do you go about that? If you're a homeowner, you want to be able to protect your home.
Yeah, you're not a homeowner at no 18.
You don't know. How do you protect your home? But like, it's always gonna be the
assault rifle. I don't think. I mean,
that right. That would be my number one answer. You don't need an assault rifle to protect your home. Something that goes automatic, you don't need it. I think only people that should have access to automated weapons or military personnel. No one really needs automatic weapons. They are just not like military.
I don't know. Like, it's just bothering me, like, how easy. Like, I'm thinking about my nieces, my daughters, my nephew, godchildren. Like, it's just, they could go to school tomorrow. Ain't no telling. You could be in Walmart. You could be at Kroger. You be in the mall. Like, and it just, okay, it's a group full of black people.
Okay, so I mean, that what they saying, maybe it was a mental health issue. Like, how do you relate with that?
If it was mental health, right?
That gives you the right to go shoot up a school?
No, absolutely not. Now, if it was mental health, if we're using that excuse, there's no way a mental health, and there is a way, but he can't not be in his right mind. So if it is mental health, what can we say about him purchasing putting the bullets in, the magazine in, driving to before he even left the house, he shot his grandmother. So that's number one. If it was mental health, he drove to the school. No accidents was reported, I'm assuming. Right? You made it to the school, realized, hey, a prop door, or knew that some way you was going to be able to get in.
How we know that she didn't allow him to come in? Like,
so now we're saying there was a partner.
I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
The devil's advocate is him, a teacher. How are we gonna say the teacher is the one reason why the kids, or she aided in knowing that this person was gonna come in? How do we know that?
We don't. That's what I'm saying. How you know she didn't though?
But what would be her reason for doing it?
What would be his reasoning for coming in and shooting up a school? Nobody knows. It makes no sense to nobody. Nobody expect anybody to go shoot up a school.
So he had a partner.
He could have. Who knows? You don't know. I'm just saying. A door is propped open. You knew to go through that door. It don't mean like, hey, yeah, you intentionally. And I'm pretty sure if she's allowed, or him or her, if they didn't do it, you know, to be his, just to let him in or whatever, they feel very guilty and very bad. I would hope. But
yeah, but we don't know if that's her partner. Like, I mean, I highly doubt that that's what the case. If I'm hoping that wasn't the case, like you said, we don't know. But I highly doubt that that's the reason.
But we never finished the conversation about his mental health.
But I'm saying, like, you made the conscious decision to purchase this rifle. You made the conscious decision to use it on your family member. You made the conscious decision to get in a vehicle, drive to a school, and shoot. Even if the door wasn't propped open, you was gonna find a way to shoot a mass of people with that much, with body armor plus automatic rifle ammo. There's no way that you can't tell me mental health. We can't keep using mental health at night. But he might not be in his right mind. They said the same thing about the shooter in Buffalo. That would be the obvious excuse for an 18-year-old that shot up 19 people. That's the obvious. Like, oh, okay, well, yeah, there's something wrong with the brain. So that means every murderer, everybody that commits a crime, there's mental health.
I totally agree. I'm not in disbelief as to, hey, this person having a mental health crisis, so that gives them the right to go shoot up 100 kids. And there are people that don't notice, like, hey, I'm having a mental health crisis, and they don't know to get those people help.
This man said it's time to die. Shooting up 4th, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. This man, he obviously knew either he was going to get shot or he was going to die because he had on protective gear, and that's not mental health. You went consciously dressed to either be shot at, die, something like you went consciously knowing that this is probably gonna be my last day. Protected.
I would really like to dig deeper and figure out, like, does this school have something, like, did he have vendetta towards this particular school? What made him choose that school? Mm-hmm. If any reasoning as to him choosing that school.
I mean, if they said he was staked out there, but the day before, it might have been the closest one to his house.
I don't know. I didn't watch that interview.
I don't even know if they specified that, but it's just I don't understand. I'm just so confused and pissed because I'm like, it's so easy for them to just take and because you are a particular.
So what do you think needs to be done?
Background checks for sure on anybody purchasing firearm, no matter what, if it's a handgun, if it's a rifle, if it's any handgun, firearm needs to be extensive background check.
So people need to be out voting like that when things like this happens, because it's not the first time. We hear about it for about 3 weeks. We hear about it about a month. We'll do some RIPs and and then we stop.
And then it's a cycle back to when the next one is.
This is why
happening.
they're telling the American people it is important to vote. Like, like people only majorly look at voting for the president. That's the biggest election you're gonna get. But really, the Senate seats, Congress seats, mayor seats, governor, like those are the ones that really count. Like, they're gonna get you some stuff done. However, you still have a president of the United States that can file an executive order at any given moment. So we can't just sit back and say, oh, nothing's being done. The president of the United States can do an executive order. Can it get knocked back down? But that executive order can stand until it goes to Congress.
There has been a bill with this specific issue for like 2-3 years, just sitting in the House, just sitting there.
So
because they haven't voted on it because they want the power.
I understand. We waiting on the votes. We waiting on the power. Nobody's voting.
Though.
Nobody's voting. Years and years and years. At what point, like, we holding Congress accountable, but at what point, honestly, are we going to hold the president of the United States, America, the land of the free, accountable? He can make that executive decision as the president of the United States, just as he could pick up that phone and make an executive decision for us to go to war. You can hold that.
When I mean, war and a law is not the same thing. Going to war is.
We at a war now.
I didn't say.
We're at a war with ourselves, with terrorism on our own turf. Like, that's crazy. You said it's been there 2 or 3 years, right? And it's probably gonna be there another couple of months, another couple of years. But in the meantime, in between time, my opinion stands is the president of the United States can make an executive order, and that bill will be halt. Like, you have to stop it. You're gonna have to go through the process, legislation and all that, but he can make an executive order that, hey, background checks has to be done. Call it. You gotta call a spade a spade. Like, and then you can go.
So you don't think
steps further that?
You don't think there's nothing stopping him from making that executive order? Nothing in between him and this law being put in place, stopping that order from happening?
I'm pretty sure
because technically the president is a figurehead. He's not. He has power, quote unquote, but he doesn't. He it wouldn't be the House. It wouldn't be like all these places in between for him to. It's called checks and balances. You got the executive branch, watching the legislative, judicial.
Totally agree. I said halt the process until they have made that decision. He can halt the process. The checks and balances, because the president don't make the decision. That's why I said, hey, that's why we need to vote. But most people vote for presidential races. Like, this is a crucial time. Like, people come here to get an education, and now it's like, damn near you got to just hold machine guns at the school now just to keep your kids safe. That's crazy. When you drop your kids off at school, you expect them to go in, have an education, and just keep it moving. People scared to even go to the grocery store these days. I mean, the crime can't happen anywhere.
Buffalo was a clear sign of why people are scared to do anything. You go into the grocery store to get some sugar. Literally, that's it. And you dead because of that. Because some person decided they wanted to play Call of Duty on human beings.
So do you think there are like groups behind this that are radical groups that are encouraging this type of behavior?
I don't doubt it, especially with a Democrat being in office. I don't doubt it at all.
Then that becomes the political realm. And we're gonna say, like, because the Democrat is in office, we're gonna have this shooting.
No, you said is there groups. I'm saying, there's groups. But
I think these groups, Republican president, goddamn Democratic president.
Let's say when there was a Republican president in office, the Democratic, if the Democratic groups were not like, oh, let's go mass shoot or let's go make this difficult for the Republicans. Like, Democrats don't do, well, I mean, I say Democrats don't do that. How certain people go about stuff is not the same as the other side, basically.
I don't agree with it, because there's certain things that I agree with Republicans on. There are certain things that I agree with Democrats on. So I'm not going to say just because I'm a Democrat, hey, I'm not going to do this because I'm a Democrat. I'm not going to say, hey, I have views with Republicans. I'm not going to do that.
I've never said that.
I'm because saying we had shootings when Trump was in office.
Okay, what I'm saying is the actions that are being done is not the same as when Republicans are in office. When Trump was in office and we didn't like something whatever he voted on or some law he passed or whatever, we weren't like, oh, let's go and kill this person, or let's make it clear that we don't like this group of people. Like, Republicans make it clear that they don't like certain races. Most Republicans make it clear that they don't like certain races.
But see, then I just don't like it. We're talking about like shooting. Once you start putting that political realm in there, it gets very, very tricky. Like, you want to add political stuff in and political points of views. Everything gonna always go back to politics. That's jobs go back to being politics. Like, everything has something to do with politics, but I don't think just because you Republican, you gonna carry yourself one way, and because you Democrat, you gonna carry yourself one way.
I didn't say. I said most Republicans, just like there's some radical Democrats, there's radical Republicans, radical Democrats, that they don't care who's in office, what's going on, they gonna do them, boom, boom, boom.
I just think that's a broad statement. I just think you say people in general. What do you mean? Everybody's entitled to an opinion. That's how we're talking about it. That's why we're discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an opinion.
But all I'm saying is there's certain actions that if a certain race, and not to say that all black people are Democrats and all white people are Republicans, but it's when certain stuff goes down, certain groups get targeted. That's all I'm saying. Races, let's be political then. Certain races are targeted. So I was on Instagram 2 days after, and somebody from LA wrote a statement to LA Times and was like, I work in an elementary school as a speech therapist. On Tuesday, I went into my classroom and cleaned out cabinets. Why? Because I wanted to make sure that if there ever were a shooting on my campus, I would be able to fit students inside. She shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't even be thinking like, oh, there's going to be a school shooting. Like, it's just that bad that these teachers have to, or therapists that work in schools, teachers have to think like, oh, let me have a space for children to hide. Like, that's crazy. That's scary. Because we didn't grow, my generation didn't grow up, or generations before that didn't have to grow up with that in mind. Like, oh, there's going to be somebody that's going to take retaliation on people that they do not know, have no issues with them, and just because they want to that day. Not even that it's, and it could be a background we don't know. We will probably never know because he's gone. But like, I have to go to school thinking that I might die today at 10 or at 11. Just because. And it's not like a specific reason. A bully getting bullied or a student getting bullied is the reason, or retaliation or something. Like, it's just some stupid adult just harming people for nothing.
I just don't. I mean, whether it's retaliation, people harming themselves, like it's just gone too far. Like, you could be in a store arguing with somebody and somebody shoot you. Why? What happened to good old fashioned having an argument
and go about your day?
Never would have thought you could be at school and get shot or get killed, or just because you lose a fight you might get shot.
Come back and retaliate. That's crazy. Just take the loss. Do better next time.
But if you,
or don't have a next time, but let that be your lesson.
If you don't want to pass gun laws, this money that we send out to help other countries, we can invest in security, more tighter security and security systems within schools. If that's what we're gonna do, then let's do it. I mean, if you have to give something and give up something. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, hey, I'm not going to sign this bill. I'm going to leave this bill frozen. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to leave it on the table. I'm going to get up and hold press conferences every 5 minutes. We're doing this now. It's like every 6 months. We're holding press conferences. Nothing's being done. But then when we have a third world country that goes to war, or we have issues, we're quick to send money and send aid. But when we in our own territory, on the soil, where is the funds? If we're not going to pass this gun law, where's the funds for security? Where's better training? It's too much of this has to happen for us to do something. We got to stop being reactive. Like, we got to be proactive instead of reactive. Like, you got to do these trainings, and when you train, you got to be able to go for it. Like, people train for stuff every day. Every day. When you're in that actual moment, everything happens in your mind and in your head and plays out. But you gotta do your job.
Yeah. You can't tell. There's no way every single law enforcement officer that was there was scared. And they could have been. They probably wasn't properly trained, or they just got the job for whatever reason. Like, but
you have to see the person that's in charge needs to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
Like, it's no way around it. You have to be held accountable. If you get behind a car wheel, you drinking, you get pulled over, you held accountable. Mm-hmm. Law or no law. Like, we can't sugarcoat it for one and not sugarcoat it for the other one. Like, it's not equaling out, because we're gonna be right back having these same conversations.
Something has to be. That's 19 kids, yo. Like, that's bothered. That irks. Like, man. It's just and it's like, they know. Like, Congress knows, the House knows, and they just don't get it. Don't affect them personally, so it's like whatever. But I mean, they got to do something. Something has to be done. But until these,
we just had a kid. They just had a kid recently. It's all on the news. This little kid, they got arrested. I think he was 10, maybe. Mm-hmm. They was making these threats, talking about mass shooting and thinking it's cute, and he's gonna shoot him, and they arrested him.
Where was this at?
I'm not sure, but it was on the news.
My goodness. And they thinking it's cool. Like, there was a video. I wish I saved it. Let's see if I can play it real quick.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A murderer, because I like killing. My brain tells me if I like killing. I like killing because when I first watched my grown-up killing show,
the boy said, I want to be a murderer when I grow up. He ain't, but he looks like he's second grade, maybe. So 8 years old, 7, 8, and you want to be a murderer. And I bet nothing is being done. Nobody, he's not talking to anybody. He's not.
So if your kid said something like that, what would you do?
Take him to see a specialist. Talk to him. I'll probably talk to him first. But that's something, if you're talking about murder and your brain tells you to do something, then I would take you to go see a specialist, because I'm not a specialist. So I would definitely have to take you to talk to somebody. But you're 8, maybe not, maybe 8 or 9, and that's your thought. So they're exposed to everything now, but you're thinking that's okay. Like, you didn't have like no, it was like no remorse on the boy's face. Like, he didn't know. Like, it looked like he knew, but he didn't know. So I don't know. Like, there were signs. So I mean, not to say that that's not the 18-year-old that shot everybody, but there's more. It's more kids like that with the same mindset. Like, my brain tells me to do this stuff, and parents just ignore it, thinking it's nothing, and then they grow up to be 18 and do mass shootings.
But then that would feel as if we're gonna put that out there, then that's like, oh, okay, well, your parent probably know your ass was gonna be crazy and didn't do anything. Then that becomes a parental issue. So do you feel as if
how
we should put laws
that,
against parents?
How is that me saying it's the parents' fault?
You said then nothing's being done, and then he grow up and be like 18.
But I didn't say it was the parents' fault.
I said that now it seems as if we're gonna say, hey, okay, parents, like, okay, you didn't do anything. Now he growed up and he 18, and he grown up and he just a mass shooter. Sometimes I believe kids can have the best of lives and still grow up and be terrible.
Yeah, there's no saying. I'm not saying that the kid that said that didn't have a good life or doesn't have a good life. I'm just saying, like, this mindset of a kid is out there, recorded, right? The teacher may or may not have said, hey, I mean, she obviously did, she recorded it, but she recorded it, maybe reported it. It's up to the parent to do something. Now, if the parent doesn't do anything about it, which is the parent's prerogative to do something about it,
What do you think should be done?
If I don't know, maybe like the school counselor could talk to him, maybe make a recommendation to the parent. I mean, the parent may think there's nothing wrong and just not do anything, but I think the school, with him, the teacher being the one to discover this, because in the full video, the teacher says, is this the first person, am I the first person you said this to? And he said, yeah. So if the school is the one that discovered it, tell the parent. If the parent doesn't do anything about it, which I don't know if there will be a way for the school to know unless the parent said something, but he should still have counseling done at school. So I mean, a lot of I don't want to say a lot of stuff, but there's some stuff that can be avoided with talking to a specialist. Yeah, somebody that just to either change your mindset, even if you end up having the same mindset, at least you have a different outlook on it. So, but it's just it's bothersome. Like, I just, do you think like there should be like a time in the day where the kid could just, as a matter of fact, there's so many videos out there now of when the Sandy Hook shooting happened, when the kids went back to school, the kids would just like start screaming or start crying or yelling or during school, and they had a safe word that if they needed to go talk to somebody, I think it was, I forgot what the safe word was, but it was a safe word they used, and they were able to exit the class and go talk to somebody about what they were feeling at the moment. And a lot of times it was what they experienced the day of the shooting in Connecticut. So that could be a thing now. I mean, it shouldn't have to be a thing. It shouldn't have to be, but
I'm just glad the world has just started putting a shine on mental health and making it normal to see a counselor or making it normal to see a therapist and not meaning, oh my God, you're crazy, you're seeing a therapist. Oh my God, you're crazy, you're seeing a counselor. Because it was always frowned upon. Like, oh my
Which I don't understand why. But
why are you going to see people? What's wrong with you? You can't talk to your parents. You can't talk to nobody at your house. Like, it was always frowned upon. So, and it took me a while to even be like, okay, let me go see a counselor. Let me go see a therapist. Because, I mean, I always felt like, hey, I can fix it. I can figure it out. And tell my mom, tell dad, like, they going to figure it out for me. But the more I'm like, okay, let me go talk to somebody, because my man dad, you know, I may need to go talk about them. I just need to relieve some stress and a non-judgmental or biased person. And sometimes I don't think you know you need it until you actually go. So I'm just glad the world has just opened up to it, to make it acceptable for everybody to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to do this. But then, society, it's tricky, because sometimes you'll do something, then somebody wants to say, oh, that baby got a problem. No, baby know what baby doing. So, it becomes tricky on both ends. Every time you introduce the world to something, somebody going to find a loophole to you misuse it. So, I just think we'll continue to be...
That's what they're doing now. They keep using the mental health excuse as the reason why people are dying. Like, y'all killing multiple people because you have mental health, or using that as the quote-unquote reason why this is happening. Like, they are conscious about what they're doing. I mean, there's different conditions. There's different reasons, right? But you cannot tell me that the reason why this person took a gun and shot me in the face was because they were depressed. Somebody they don't know. Even if it's somebody they do know. Like, I mean, it could be something in their past, maybe a trigger or something, but I don't know. There's levels. I don't know. I guess I'm just being a harsh judger of that, but I just don't feel like somebody who has mental health can just get away with it just because they have mental health. Like, that shouldn't be the only reason why they get away with it, or that's the reason why. Like, there was a reason why you were conscious of it. There's some people that's just like really bad, some PTSD, something, so I get it, but I don't get it. Like, I would need to sit down with somebody or something, because it's that I do want to understand it, but at this moment I'm just like, there's no way you could tell me, especially with these last two that happened, that it was just like, oh no, their brain not fully developed. Oh no, they sociopath. Like, no. Because you targeted a certain area. You had to pass plenty of places to get to that school. You had to pass plenty of spaces to get to that. It wasn't like a random boom, boom, boom. Like, even the one that happened in Georgia, they shot up the spa in Buckhead.
Okay, so I hear you and I'm listening. So
you drove 2 hours.
Okay, so you're saying you think it should not be considered a mental health issue if it is a timed event compared to at the spur of the moment that you just decide, hey, fuck it, I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna go to my car and I'm gonna shoot up somebody, compared to I'm gonna drive 2 hours and then I'm gonna do this. Okay.
Yeah. Now, it's still not a pass, but it's like, okay, you did it right then and there, where you drove from the country to the city and then drove back to the country. So you were conscious. Like, you knew what you were doing. You targeted Asians. Why? Like, so I don't know. Like, anyway, it's just all this.
Who targeted Asians?
The shooting that happened in Buckhead was an Asian spa. He shot all the Asians.
Yeah, but I'm still thinking about the school.
I don't know. So, Yeah, I don't.
I mean, in a situation like that, that's targeted. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The one in Buffalo was also targeted. The one in here, he targeted only Hispanic kids.
Yeah, and that's a racial discrimination one right there.
So
I don't think they did mental health on that one.
Yes, he did.
I said I don't think they
yes, they did.
Mental health.
They did. And even if they didn't do it with this one in Texas, which I believe they did.
I'm not talking about Texas. I'm talking about the grocery store.
That was the first thing he said. Well, it was on CNN. And then, well, the interview I saw was his brain wasn't fully developed and they blaming it on mental health. That's every person that shoots up somebody's mental health, black or white, Asian, whatever race they are, decide to be. It's just mass shooting. It's just always mental health. No. Every single one, no. Anyway, let's hope Congress does something about it. I don't see it happening. I mean, this was. I mean, 2 mass shootings. Only in America we see it, but. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. Any last thoughts, Stephanie? Well, I thank you for coming on the CRUECAST and sharing your opinions and discussing this issue. And that concludes episode 3 of CRUECAST. And catch you on the next one.